I think it's sad. And I talk about this. I mean, I think it's sad for a lot of people. I mean, your brother maybe is a different situation, but I think it's sad for the majority of kids out there right now that especially they don't know what they want to do. So they're wasting time. I mean, it's time value of money. Let's be honest here. I mean, you're literally wasting your time listening to a college professor that really has very little real world knowledge. Most of them have never built a business. Most of them have never been successful. Most of them, and again, the information is so outdated so fast. And then it's like you get out, and that's why 50% of kids right now, they can't even get a job out of college. And then you're going, well, wait a minute, you could have spent that last 5 years in college. You could have been working with a company, even if you didn't make a lot of money, or even if you were an intern, or even if you worked for near free, it would have been the same. It would actually been cheaper because you have to pay for college right now versus if you work for somebody else, even for free, at least you don't have to pay them to work for them, right? You're just working for free. And it's mind boggling to me. The greatest decision I ever made was to quit college. I mean, it changed my life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'll be forever grateful to mentorship. So I see in you that you have been probably pretty fortunate, starting with your parents, but probably pretty fortunate to meet some great mentors. Do you have any mentors that inspired you along?
Yeah, so it's actually very funny. When you were talking about college, at the same time, when I graduated high school, literally, I remember at my graduation, I had a BlackBerry and my own phone because I had just started working for this IT firm, right? And this was when BlackBerries were still like, a thing. And so the interesting part was I split my days or my weeks between college and this job at an IT firm. The name of the IT firm was KJ Technology, and it was this boutique IT firm that helped corporations as well as really prestigious individuals like celebrities. And I was like they brought me on as an intern, but I think the CEO of the company saw like how capable I was within the first week, and he's like, "Oh, we're actually going to put you in front of clients. You know what you're doing." I was actually really proficient at like Apple computers, which they didn't have such a great team on. So I was like the Apple guy. And that CEO, his name is Adam. I still reach out to him every once in a while because the lessons I learned, in my first like real job, they're so deeply embedded in my brain that they've helped me, for the last 15 years of my career. And sometimes I'll just shoot him an email. And just say like, hey, I just was thinking about this. I appreciate the time you took to, teach me about this or walk me through that. And, just like real core fundamental stuff of, how to manage stress, how to manage clients, how to talk to people, how to interact with people, managing expectations, all those like really core elements that come into play throughout life, whether it's an IT, job or starting your own company or working now in, this big, SoftBank backed startup with 15,000 employees. It applies all the way through. So he was a great mentor of mine. Yeah.
So he really impacted you pretty deeply and I have a coaching program. It's called Wealth on the Beach Club every Wednesday morning. And I actually just got off before I got on with you. And I was talking to them and I said, I know that I'm kind of beating a dead horse about this subject right now, but I want to ingrain it in you. And I'm so glad you said that right now, because the things that he taught you are so ingrained that how many years later you're still thinking about these things. So I wanted them to know this subject that I was talking to them about this morning so deeply that even 10 years from now, when they're doing that thing that maybe they shouldn't be doing, it's going to reinforce, they're going to remember my voice. They're going to remember me telling them, you need to do it this way. And so anyways, I think it's pretty cool that you talk about that.
Yeah. And what's also, I guess different about it is it's one thing to just hear it from like a guy on a Zoom call, but like when you're like, 20 years old and like this is your first job and like your boss is coming in there and like he doesn't yell at you. He just like stands there and like logically walks you through it. And you just be like, wow, I feel like an idiot. How could I have done that? And like, you just emotionally feel it like deep in your soul. That's when like, you can't lose that sort of thing. You know, it's like, I like addressed like a high profile client, like very casually, you know, like, and it was like, they're not your buddies. Don't talk to them that way. Like, and I remember like, I just remember him talking to me and he wasn't like angry or anything, but like, I will never communicate with someone differently. Again, I always think like, all right, what's this person? What's their, you know, what's my relationship with them? And what's like the proper way to really address them? And that's like the most important thing is like the opening point and everything. That's just one of hundreds of things I learned there. But, you know, he was one of many mentors that I worked with. And, you know, it's really important to know that as the more you learn, you typically realize how much you don't know. And it's important to just keep finding people and getting time with them, and asking them for the time, and don't be shy about it.
And I think too, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that you seem to me like somebody that doesn't have a major ego about learning and about getting better. Like, I don't know, for me personally, I love taking advice from people. When I get advice from them, you know, if I think it's good advice, I'll actually implement it. I'll actually take action on that advice, you know, not just hear it, but actually do something with it that could potentially change my life. I think ego keeps us broke. An unhealthy ego keeps us broke because we're so, maybe it's just, I'm sure women are like this too, but from a male standpoint, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, we're so guarded and we're so tough all the time. It's like, you know, somebody tells you what to do and you're like, I'm not going to take advice from that guy. I'm not going to listen to that guy. I'm a man. I know the answer. I can do it myself. You know, I don't need anybody else. And I think, I don't know, like, what do you think about that, about ego?
So I definitely feel like that sometimes. You know, when you have a couple of wins under your belt, you start thinking like, oh, I think I'm getting the hang of this thing. I know it. Luckily, I have a wonderful wife who brings me down a couple notches, and she'd be like, well, if you knew everything, you wouldn't have done X, Y, Z. And then that's like, shit, you're right. So I definitely have both. You know, I have the ego part, which is good. You need to use that to your advantage. You definitely need to like talk yourself up sometimes, sell yourself. Like that's really important, but like, don't get caught up in that and realize when like you don't know what you're talking about and fully admit it. And like, you know, just walk into a room and be like, guys, I know absolutely nothing about this topic. Teach me, and have like that open mindset. But while at the same time, maintaining that you want to think about advice. Don't just take everything blindly from everyone. Think about it, process it, maybe talk to someone else who might think about things differently and form your own sort of unique mix that works for you. But yeah, definitely keep your ears and eyes open because there's always a way to improve.
Thank you for watching our short clips on Alonzo Academy. If you'd like to watch the next short clip, click here. If you'd like to watch the entire podcast, click here.